How you feel about Tyler Perry?
He strikes me as somebody that does not like manhood.
You know, I don't agree with same-sex relationships. If Tyler Perry into that, that's him. We all know the childhood he's been through. It can breed that type of pathology.
And you call me up and go, oh, this role is so good, but you ain't finna be calling me no damn Henrietta. I need a sexy name like Nicole.
So, actor Derek Dixon, who used to work on Tyler Perry's shows Ruthless and The Oval, just sued him for $260 million, and the allegations are very serious. Now, some folks are saying Tyler just took a break or went off the grid, but let's be real. When someone with this much power and money suddenly goes quiet and skips the country right as legal heat drops, people are gonna raise eyebrows. And to be fair, Tyler hasn't come out and said anything official. But the lawsuit is real. It was filed in Los Angeles, and it lays out a full timeline of how Perry allegedly used his influence to control and manipulate his victim. So the idea that Tyler might have dipped? Honestly, it doesn't sound that crazy when you look at everything else going on, because what started off looking like just another Hollywood lawsuit is turning into something more.
They had some drinks. It got late. Tyler Perry felt he was a little too tipsy to drive home. Tyler Perry invited him to stay. He stayed. He slides into the bed with Derek Dixon, allegedly, starts rubbing his leg. Derek Dixon told him, I'm not sexual. That's what he kept saying throughout the lawsuit. I'm not sexual. So I don't know if he was trying to claim he was a virgin.
So let's get into what's actually going on with this lawsuit, because this isn't just about rumors or false headlines. We're talking about a real case that's been filed in Los Angeles Superior Court by actor Derek Dixon, who had roles in 2 of Tyler Perry's shows, Ruthless and The Oval. Now, if you've seen The Oval, you might remember the character Dale. That's Dixon. He wasn't some random background extra. He had a proper storyline. But according to what Dixon is claiming in this lawsuit, everything he got in that show came at a cost.
Tyler Perry was stringing him along long enough to get some booty, allegedly. And it just so happens that Tyler Perry realized he ain't gonna get no booty, right? And then Derek Dixon realized, I'm not gonna get no show.
What Derek is saying, he first met Tyler Perry back in 2019 at a work event connected to Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta. From there, things moved into a mentor-mentee type relationship. They talked for months. Perry spoke to him about building his career, getting into acting seriously, and eventually gave him specific roles. Sounds like a dream, right? But according to Dixon, Perry started using that connection to pressure him in uncomfortable ways. The lawsuit claims that he made a lot of explicit comments and started trying to shift the relationship from professional to personal. He would allegedly say things that weren't appropriate, and when Dixon didn't accept Tyler Perry's advances, he was threatened. According to him, Perry revealed his character would be written off the show if he didn't play along. In the lawsuit, it even says Perry would literally tell him things like, "Your character might die next season," but only if he ignored Perry's flirty behavior. Now think about that for a second. You're a rising actor, finally getting screen time, finally building a resume, and the man who gave you the role is allegedly dangling your job over your head unless you act the way he wants? That's not just uncomfortable, that's abuse of power. But it didn't stop at hints and comments. Derek Dixon claims that on multiple occasions, Tyler Perry actually crossed physical boundaries. One specific incident mentioned in the lawsuit is extremely messy. Dixon says he was in a trailer, and Perry allegedly pinned him to a wall and fondled him. Dixon says he rejected him and walked out of the trailer, and after that, the pressure didn't stop, which eventually led him to walk away from the show. Tyler Perry offered him a writing job later on, but Dixon declined his invitation. He says it felt like another form of manipulation, and that accepting it would have kept him stuck in the same toxic cycle. Basically, he had to give up both acting and writing opportunities because he felt like his career was being used against him. And look, I know some folks might hear this and say, why didn't he speak up before? But here's the thing. This isn't some YouTube video or Instagram live. This is a formal legal complaint, backed by specific dates, characters, and actual studio experiences. So even if people want to question the motive, it's hard to ignore the receipts. This lawsuit is worth around $260 million. That number isn't random. It's tied to damages that cover emotional distress, lost work, and the impact this entire situation allegedly had on Dixon's career. And with Tyler Perry being one of the most powerful names in Hollywood, that power dynamic makes this a very serious case.
And he says Tyler Perry is using his status and his power to force young, struggling actors into unwanted sexual relationships.
Now let's talk about the part that made everybody's jaw drop: the alleged private messages between Perry and Dixon. According to reports, a bunch of texts were included as part of the lawsuit filings. And if they're real, they paint a very different picture of Tyler Perry's real life. Because these aren't your typical texts. One of the messages read, "What's it going to take for you to have guiltless sex? Have y'all found that yet in therapy?" Another one read, "I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you. You are missing the best years of your life, my friend. Trust me. I hope you get past that block in your mind soon." Like, come on, that's not career advice. Also, there are more texts about religion, career goals, compliments on beach pics, and even warnings about not telling other cast members that the two of them were close. One alleged message from Perry said, "Listen to me. If you let the cast know that you and I have a new friendship, then you are opening yourself up to a lot of questions and foolishness. You want them to know that you are there because of your talent and not because we have a friendship or because Tony got me to give you a job. You earned your spot like everyone else. Don't give people an opportunity to play you small or they will." Now again, to be clear, these texts haven't been fully verified publicly, but they're included in the lawsuit itself. Screenshots are already all over the internet, and multiple outlets have picked them up, so the court is going to examine them as part of the evidence. And I know some of y'all might be thinking, what if they're fake? That's a fair question, but if a legal team was confident enough to include them in a case worth $260 million, that usually means they've got some strong evidence, whether it's metadata, original chat records, or call recordings. Even when you read the content of these messages and line it up with what Derek Dixon is saying in the lawsuit, it lines up with his claims of being groomed under the guise of mentorship.
Is that what it is?
And listen, I give the best advice when I'm drinking.
Okay, you do.
I'm a drinking prophet.
It shows that the power imbalance wasn't just professional. All right, so here's where things really start to feel familiar, because this isn't the first time someone's spoken out about being in an uncomfortable situation with a powerful man in Hollywood. Let's rewind to late 2023. Actor and writer Christian Keyes went live on Instagram and shared his experience of getting SAD for years. He even stated that some of the people viewers admire and consider heroes are actually predators. He also mentioned the perpetrator claiming to have multiple young black men on the payroll.
One of the biggest reasons I never wanted to say anything is because I didn't want to be the person that broke your heart. I didn't want to be the person that said that your hero, such and such, multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. But there are people that will. But there are people that will and have and will continue to, unfortunately, offer these things.
So in that Instagram Live, Christian never dropped a name. He just called someone a powerful man in Black Hollywood. But based on what he said, the timeline, the projects he worked on, and who he's connected to, fans started mentioning Tyler Perry. The reason was Christian had a long history of working with Tyler. He starred in Perry's stage plays like Medea Goes to Jail and What's Done in the Dark. And more recently, Tyler produced All the Queen's Men, which was based on Christian's own book. So yeah, they had a real working relationship. Christian wasn't some random outsider. He was part of Perry's circle. Now in that video, Christian talked about being invited to someone's house.
I'm asleep. I'm gone because I'm 4-5 Hennessy's deep and not short Hennessy's either. And this dude tries to climb into bed with you.
And said he felt safe enough to stay over after drinking. He admitted to having several Hennessy's and feeling like he was in a trusted environment. But then, while he was trying to sleep it off in the guest room, he says this man allegedly tried to climb into bed with him. Christian said he spazzed out and pushed the man away. That part of the story alone has a lot of people connecting it to what Derek Dixon is now saying, about being put in uncomfortable, pressured situations by someone he trusted professionally. Both stories involve alcohol. Both involve situations where these men say they were taken advantage of under the radar, and both suggest that the abuser used their industry power to get close. And here's the thing. Shortly after that Instagram Live, Christian took the video down. Fans started asking why, and rumors started flying that maybe he was pressured to delete it or even paid off. That's just speculation, of course, but a lot of people believe it. A person commented saying, actor Derek Dixon and Christian Key's stories are extremely similar, and both men continued working with the abuser. Both victims never called the police, nor filed a police report. Another one added, the same story Derek Dixon is sharing of his alleged essay from Tyler Perry is the same story Christian Key's shared about a Black Hollywood giant that he's worked with for years, before he was bullied into deleting his videos from Instagram. Believe survivors for the first time. And I know some of y'all might be wondering, why didn't Christian name him back then? Or why did he wait so long to talk about this mess? But honestly, that's exactly the issue. These guys were dealing with someone who had money, power, connections, and the ability to make or break careers. That's not easy to push back against, especially when you're trying to survive in the entertainment industry. It's not just about speaking up, it's about risking everything. Both Christian and Derek had something to lose, so the fact that Derek finally filed a lawsuit, that tells us he reached a point where staying silent wasn't worth it anymore. And now, with both of their stories out there, even if one is just from a live video and the other is a full-on legal case, fans are seeing the pattern. Same dynamic, same red flags, same silence. It's just now starting to get loud.
I looked at the gentleman over there, and it was Tyler Perry. I was like, oh, snap. I said, yo, little ninja, let me find out you wake up in the morning and Mud Deer's in the room with you.
Okay, so now let's talk about the part that's got everybody squinting. Where is Tyler Perry right now? Because since this lawsuit dropped, he's been real quiet. And folks are saying he may have been planning to visit Canada. Now, is that confirmed? Nope. He hasn't said anything publicly, but that's kind of the point. He hasn't said anything at all. And when someone as public and involved as Tyler suddenly goes off the radar, people notice. Think about it. This isn't just bad press. It's a $260 million lawsuit, with some of the most damaging allegations he's ever faced. So if he really did leave the country around the same time all this came out, that timing is suspicious. And no, we're not saying he fled to avoid this whole mess. But fans are wondering if this is his plan to lay low until the heat dies down. Like, go somewhere else. Stay off social media. Let the fans move on to the next scandal. But let's be real. In 2025, that doesn't really work anymore. Especially when receipts are getting posted left and right, and not saying anything is making people even more curious. Also, here's something else fans are asking. Is this just a vacation? Or is he actually trying to put space between himself and the legal mess? Because with this kind of lawsuit, there's going to be a lot of pressure for a public response, maybe even court appearances. So if Perry's actually in Canada, and not somewhere in the States, then it's fair for people to start asking what he is doing in another country after this bombshell lawsuit was filed against him. And here's where fans are really connecting dots. What if this move wasn't just about this lawsuit? What if he knew more was coming? Because the way things are picking up, with old stories like Christian Key's resurfacing, leaked messages getting passed around, and people in the industry hinting at even more tea, this might just be the beginning. And the real question is, was Tyler trying to get ahead of it? Because what makes all of this is Tyler Perry and his connection to Diddy.
Fuck up 2024. Because if you think that Diddy shit was crazy, you don't even know.
So here's what we know. Just a few months before Diddy faced the consequences for his criminal activities, he and Tyler Perry were actually working very closely. Along with Byron Allen, they were in talks to buy BT. This was a big move. Tyler already had the content. Diddy had Revolt. Byron Allen had the business side. Together, they were about to build something major. A lot of people were rooting for it. Like, this could have been a real power shift in black entertainment. But then everything with Diddy was unhooked. The raids, the lawsuits, the leaked stories, and all that talk about those freak-off parties. You know what I'm talking about? The wild parties with NDAS, cameras, and all kinds of behavior nobody wanted going public. And here's where people started side-eyeing Tyler. Because while Diddy was the one getting exposed, Tyler was right there in his circle. At those events. In those deals. And the question now is, how close was he to all that? Now let's keep it real. That doesn't mean Tyler was involved in anything related to Diddy. We're not jumping to conclusions. But when your name's already getting dragged into a $260 million lawsuit over abuse of power, and people are comparing stories from two different actors who describe similar behavior, being associated with someone like Diddy just makes everything look worse. Especially when fans are already saying things like, where there's smoke, there's fire. Also, folks haven't forgotten that Diddy was setting up deals with Tyler just weeks before the feds raided his mansions. They were building a big RICO case. So it's not a stretch for people to wonder, what else did Tyler see, or know, or even participate in? Again, there's no proof tying Tyler to anything when it comes to Diddy. But the association is loud now, and Tyler disappearing right after the lawsuit while all this Diddy fallout is still going on, it's raising eyebrows for sure. And that's the thing. When people started looking deeper into who Tyler's been connected to and what's been going on behind closed doors, the floodgates kind of opened.
Got the whole world in his hand. Hey, I'm just sitting here on my porch just looking. What am I looking at? I'm looking to the hills from whence cometh my help. For my help? Some of y'all know the rest. I just wanted to come on and just tell everybody, just be as calm as you can.
Let's not act like this is Tyler Perry's first time in hot water. He has been facing criticism for years. It's just that most of it never really came out in this way. But now that these new allegations are out, people are digging everything back up. We all remember Monique, right? After she won that Oscar for Precious, she publicly said she got blackballed. She specifically named Tyler Perry, Oprah, and Lee Daniels, and said they iced her out because she didn't play the game. Back then, some people brushed it off, but now, people are seeing her side a lot clearer. Then there's the whole writers' union situation. Back when Tyler was doing House of Pain, he fired a bunch of writers after they pushed for union contracts. Yeah, he fired them for wanting standard industry protections. But that situation made a lot of folks angry in the wrong way, especially in a time when unions were fighting to get black creatives fair treatment. And let's not forget Alfonso Ribeiro. A fan once tweeted that Tyler should revamp Alfonso's career. And Alfonso clapped back saying, "I don't need or ever want that man to do anything for me." He didn't explain it further, but that one comment had the internet buzzing. Like, what happened there? One line like that, from someone who's been in the game that long, doesn't just come out of nowhere. All these moments on their own might not seem like much. But when you stack them up, the lawsuit, the alleged texts, the sudden disappearance, the Diddy link, the industry beefs, the union drama, and now two different men telling similar stories of manipulation, it starts to look like a pattern. That's why this moment feels different. Because people are finally connecting the dots. All these little stories that used to live in separate corners of the internet, now they're starting to blend into one big question. Who is the real Tyler Perry when the cameras are off? And honestly, the more we dig, the more uncomfortable the answer is starting to look.
If I'm on the jury, Tyler Perry's relationship with Derek Dixon was mutually exploitative, mutually beneficial. Neither one of them are in the right, neither one of them are in the wrong if everything stated is true. That's how I'm looking at that.
So here's where we're at. The lawsuit against Tyler Perry is not a tabloid rumor. It's filed. It's public. It's real. And the claims made by Derek Dixon, they aren't lies. They come with names, roles, timelines, even alleged text messages that line up with what he's saying. Plus, let's not ignore how much of it matches with Christian Key's old story. And now, Tyler's gone quiet. He is possibly out of the country. And again, we're not saying that proves him guilty. But the timing, it's not great. Especially when you add in the Diddy connection, the BET buyout plans, and all those past stories people are suddenly revisiting, like Monique's claims, the union backlash, and that sharp comment from Alfonso Ribeiro. It's all being seen differently now. At the end of the day, the courts will decide what's the real truth. But from what we've seen so far, the receipts are stacking up, and they're coming from more than one direction. People are saying it. Where there's smoke, there's usually something burning. But what do you guys think? Is this just another wild chapter in Hollywood drama? Or is Tyler Perry finally getting exposed after years of people staying silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments.